Now, as a Sky viewer, if you've been watching my shows, Andrew Bolt, Peter Credlin, Outsiders, in fact, anyone after dusk, you can be pretty sure you will have heard people standing up for Australia. Hosts and guests alike, who like you, are prepared to challenge China and back this nation by standing up to reprehensible behaviour by the communist regime in Beijing, which has been punishing Australia just for backing an independent inquiry into the coronavirus pandemic.
So here comes the test for Australia, for our politicians, for our billionaires, for our media, and yes, for our governments. Where will you draw the line? Because I don't know about you. I'm going to draw the line at the handling of a virus that has killed 300,000 people and destroyed a world's economy. I don't want to see anyone in China arrested. I don't want them to pay reparations. I just want them to tell us what really happened.
Plenty of good common sense there from Paul Murray. And happily, this is one issue where many of our commercial colleagues are just as strong. Even at Nine Entertainment, where wokeness often wins out, news coverage is strong on China. The Sydney Morning Herald's Peter Harcher wrote, "This is about the Chinese Communist Party trying to bully Australia into submission. This has been Beijing's long-standing practice of picking off one country at a time, hoping to frighten others into submission as it goes." And on radio and television too, there's no compunction about backing Australia, even if it angers our largest trading partner.
Australia has stood up for decency and the reaction is threats and retaliation. The Chinese government's behaving just like what it is, an immoral bully, a dictatorial communist regime.
Government sources say that China is furious with Australia because this nation has helped to alert the world to just how coercive the communist state has become under President Xi Jinping, complaining about China's illegal occupation and militarisation of islands in the South China Sea, outlawing foreign interference in Australia's domestic affairs, banning Chinese tech giant Huawei from the rollout of next-generation wireless, and calling out Beijing-sponsored industrial-scale cyber theft.
Well, I mean, it's a tactic they've used before. No doubt it's a tactic they'll use again. Perhaps we need to be less reliant on China as a market.
Well, are there any alternates? I mean, can we pursue that?
Over in the West, however, the Kerry Stokes-owned 7 News was preoccupied with economic risks.
More than 500,000 WA jobs could be at risk if the China trade war escalates and our iron ore imports are banned.
And on most of the Green Left media, the focus was less on China's belligerence and more on the possibility that we asked for it.
Trade Minister Simon Birmingham joins us now. Welcome, Minister. Isn't this the worst possible time to be provoking China?
Kind of spoke out to the world, say, hey, this would be a good idea. What we could have done is use those contacts, for example, in the European Union, and they could have been leading the charge rather than us taking the heat.
Why are we out there on our own? Did they ask Europe? Did they ask Japan? Did they ask India? And is there a cost to going out there on our own?
Do you even think that this call for global investigation is necessary? I mean, we know from past pandemics that the WHO conducts investigations at some point. Do you even think a special investigation is necessary?
The Global Times, the English language paper in Beijing, has been talking about the fact that this isn't necessarily about the coronavirus, but it should be a wake-up call to Australia that unfriendly actions like the decision on Huawei getting access to 5G aren't appreciated, and it's part of a deteriorating relationship with China from Australia's perspective. Australia has been quite aggressive in putting in tariffs against Chinese steel and aluminium.
Nasty, aggressive Australia, hey? Well, as you now know, more than 100 nations, including India, Japan, Britain, Canada, New Zealand, Indonesia, Russia and all 27 EU member states have backed Australia's call, demanding the World Health Organisation establish an independent and comprehensive investigation as soon as possible. It'll happen. Australia has led the charge for sensible global action. But some media, especially publicly funded broadcasters who usually say we need an independent foreign policy, well, they seem to back China against Australia and the rest of the world. How do we explain that?